The Roman Empire, one of the greatest civilizations in history, was a beacon of power, culture, and engineering marvels. But by the 3rd century AD, cracks were beginning to show in this seemingly invincible empire. While many factors contributed to Rome's decline, today we're focusing on one of the most significant and often overlooked: inflation. So, how did inflation play a role in destroying the Roman Empire? To understand the impact of inflation on Rome, we first need to look at the economic foundation of the empire. The Roman economy was heavily dependent on conquest. As the empire expanded, it gained wealth through the spoils of war, tribute from conquered territories, and a steady flow of slaves. This influx of wealth allowed Rome to build cities, roads, and massive public works, as well as maintain a large and powerful military. However, as the empire reached its territorial peak, expansion slowed, and the flow of wealth began to dry up. This marked the beginning of a financial crisis that would ultimately lead to widespread inflation. In an attempt to solve its financial problems, the Roman government began debasing its currency. This meant that the silver content in coins, like the denarius, was gradually reduced, with cheaper metals like copper and bronze being added to the mix. The result? Coins that were worth less and less, even as the government continued to mint more of them. This practice of debasement was a short-term solution that had disastrous long-term consequences. As the value of currency fell, prices for goods and services began to rise, leading to rampant inflation throughout the empire. But inflation wasn't just an economic problem, it had far-reaching social and political consequences. As prices soared, the standard of living for the average Roman citizen began to decline. The rich were able to protect their wealth by investing in land and other tangible assets. But the poor and middle classes found themselves struggling to make ends meet. The growing economic disparity fueled social unrest, with more and more people becoming disillusioned with the empire's leadership. The military, the backbone of Roman power, was not immune to the effects of inflation either. As the value of currency declined, it became increasingly difficult for the government to pay its soldiers. To keep the military loyal, emperors were forced to raise soldiers' pay, which in turn required more debasement of the currency, creating a vicious cycle. Over time, the loyalty of the legions began to waver, and soldiers became more interested in their own financial gain than in serving the empire. This loss of military discipline and cohesion made Rome more vulnerable to external threats, such as barbarian invasions, which were becoming more frequent and severe. Inflation also weakened the Roman economy in other ways. As the value of money plummeted, people lost confidence in the currency and began to resort to bartering, a system that was far less efficient and contributed to the breakdown of the complex trade networks that had once sustained the empire. The decline in trade led to shortages of goods, further driving up prices and exacerbating the inflation problem. Additionally, the government's attempts to control prices through edicts and regulations only made matters worse, leading to black markets and corruption. By the time Emperor Diocletian came to power, in the late 3rd century, the Roman economy was in shambles. Diocletian attempted to stabilize the situation by implementing sweeping reforms, including the introduction of a new, more stable currency and price controls to combat inflation. While these measures had some success in the short term, they ultimately failed to address the underlying issues, and the empire continued its slow decline. Inflation was not the sole cause of the fall of the Roman Empire, but it was a critical factor that weakened its economic foundations, eroded social cohesion, and undermined the military's effectiveness. The lessons of Rome's experience with inflation are still relevant today, reminding us of the dangers of unsound economic policies and the importance of maintaining a stable currency. Thanks for watching. If you found this exploration of Rome's economic downfall insightful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more historical deep dives. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think inflation could pose a similar threat to modern civilizations? Let's keep the conversation going.